Welcome back to Brighter Morning with Bhoe. My name is Bhoe Tiwari and you are watching MCTV, Multicultural TV, and listening to U97.5 FM Radio, Hot Like Pepper Radio, Multicultural Radio. We're happy to have you on board, and our next guest is Mr. Ken Charles, but he won't come on until 7:30, so if you'd like to call, we would be willing to take your call, 609-6283, 609-6284. But I want to say something that I neglected to do at the beginning of this show. You know, we lost a venerable gentleman, Haji Yaqub Ali, who led ASJA, the largest Islamic organization in Trinidad and Tobago, and perhaps in the region. And he led that organization for many years. I knew him quite well. I had many conversations with him over his lifetime and mine. And he was a man of peace, I know that for sure. In all the turmoils that may have raged in the country, he was always a man who saw the importance of peace and saw the importance of unity and saw the importance of harmony in Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to offer my sincere condolences to members of his family, the family of Haji Yaqub Ali, and I want to also offer my condolences to all the Jamaats within the ASJA fold, and I want to offer my condolences as well to the entire Muslim community in Trinidad and Tobago. You have lost a good soul, and may Allah receive him with his grace. We have a call? Okay. The number is 609-6283, 609-6284. And I want to thank the caller who called this morning and for his kind sentiments. I'm really grateful for that. And I note his concerns, which are real and legitimate. And he spoke not only for himself and maybe his family and the people of Bhoe, but I think he spoke for many, many people in this country who are living through hardship in Trinidad and Tobago. This morning, we were talking about the report of Standard & Poor's and the IMF warning in 2019, and subsequently the response of the Minister of Finance. And we were talking of some of the challenges. Now, in presenting the Moody's report to you, I tried to be as objective as possible, reading from the report. I have my own views on many of those issues, but I tried to present it as it is. And we will continue to talk about that. We have a caller on the line now, and we'll take that call. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Glad to have you on board. Go ahead and speak. Say your name and where you're from, and go ahead and speak.
Oh, you want name and address?
No, you don't have to. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Yeah, I don't want to.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I just want to sway away from the subject here. What I've been noticing in this country for the last 5 years, right, is the pillaging and the murder of Indian people, businessmen, old people from serious supporters in all over, by African people, right? Young boys of African descent. You don't get much Indian or Chinese or Lebanese or Syrian doing this, right? And there is something wrong from the home of these children who come out here and just looking to make a living, shoot and kill people and rob people. It's mostly done by African descended people. I'm not wrong, I'm not a racist, but this is the facts and the figures, and the whole world could see it. Nothing is being done get to the people, the priests, and all these big guns to get together and do something to get these African boys off of that crime scene. Get workshops for them.
All right.
Mason or electrician, all these things, get them involved with it.
All
and
right.
get the guns away. Then you have big people bringing the guns in the country.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Because
I understand the feelings of the caller, but this is not an issue that must be seen in racial or ethnic terms. You have a severe situation here of urban poverty and lack of opportunity, and you have a serious situation of school dropout rate being extremely high in the secondary school system. And when you have that kind of situation, you have an easy recruitment field for the established gangs in Trinidad and Tobago to engage these young people. Now, the African element that you mentioned really has to do with the location of some of these gangs and the urbanization of the community and the easy recruitment catchment that come out of the secondary school system in there. So we have a sociological problem to address. This is an issue that when we were in government, the People's Partnership, we asked Selwyn Ryan to do a report, I remember, and he outlined many of the issues there. And then the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, current Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, had a committee that went about looking at these issues of the urban challenges. And he established as well a ministry responsible for youth. And so it is something that we need to discuss from the point of view of what is the challenge, what is the solution, and how we can begin to address that urban challenge in Trinidad and Tobago. From the point of view of the feeling sometimes by Indian people that they are oppressed in their own communities and perhaps assaulted by outsiders. When I was a member of parliament for Caroni Central, some of those issues came up in the community, but many times there is complicity within the community by people who are connected with marauders, you might call them, from outside. And these are criminal types, and they take advantage of innocent people, they take advantage of poor people, they take advantage of defenseless people. So there's the issue of victimization, which is a factor here. So I think we would be better informed and better conditioned and manage things better if we saw these things in terms of the sociological and economic challenges rather than simply from the point of view of ethnicity. I do not want to prevent anybody from speaking what their heart tells them, and I do not want to censor anybody in their speech when they speak, but I want to contribute to the, to the harmonious resolutions of the problems that we have in the society. Okay? Is there any other caller on the line? You can call 609-6283. Mr. Ken Charles is on the line? Okay, we will pick him up shortly. So I just want to mention two things before we go on, and it is instructive because they are happening in other places. Okay? So I want to mention again Lebanon as a country. In Lebanon, you don't have an ethnic problem, but you have a religious problem, okay, which is that you have Christians, you have Muslims, and you have different sects of sects of people of Islamic faith there. And that country, which used to be a prosperous country, a harmonious country, an enjoyable country, is now in the throes of crisis. It cannot pay its debt. It is dislocated. It has no government. This is the third prime minister they are trying to get to embark on a cabinet building exercise. The money has collapsed. The foreign exchange, for instance, everything is imported, so everything is short because they don't have foreign exchange to buy it. And it's a horrible situation. And that is a good lesson about what happens when people fight among themselves and do not identify the problems properly, and do not address the problems to find rational solutions. So I want to use that lesson of Lebanon to you. It is not the only country. We will do that from time to time. But I want to make the point that when people misdiagnose their problem and when they go about in a conflict-prone way, the end result is precisely what you have in Lebanon at the present time. The second thing I want to draw to your attention is what is happening in Tunisia. You have a situation there in which the prime minister is now being accused of basically hijacking the constitution and leaving the people out. He is calling all the politicians in the country who were in power corrupt. He has taken power onto himself, and the country is in a serious mess. Now, I want to remind you what kind of country that country is. That is the place where the Arab Spring populist revolution began. Remember, during a period of our life, we had this tremendous movement of ordinary people that swept throughout the Arab world. And young people were at the helm of it, and they tried to create the revolutionary situation in many of those countries. That collapsed in Egypt, where you now have an authoritarian government. It collapsed in Tunisia, where it began, and you now have a situation there where the people are left out in the cold wondering what is going to happen. And I want to say that to show what populism can lead to. I don't want to get into Venezuela, we'll do that another time, but that is another thing that is another area of populism gone bad. I want to say that there is no substitute for rational thought. There is no substitute for identifying a problem properly and thinking it through and coming to a resolution. And there is no substitute for collaborating, engaging, and cooperating in the interest of the national good to do something for a society that is valuable and constructive and long-term in intent. And I want to say that to you because I spent all my life as an educator. I've taught in secondary school, I've taught at the university undergraduate level, I've taught at graduate level, I've led the business school, I've been principal of the university. And I want to say that there is a way of proceeding in which countries can resolve their challenges and their crises. And the way to proceed is not through violence, and we've had the experience here of 1990. The way to proceed is not by mindless populism, which gets you nowhere because they have no solutions. It's just the rabble and the voices of unreason taking advantage of the emotions of people. And it is certainly not by authoritarian power and authoritarian rule as we've had in Haiti. And we are seeing a living example of what can go wrong in a society like that. Haiti got independence in 1804, just after the United States. And look at its condition after all of these years and so many revolutionary attempts at putting that country together. So we leave that for now, and we go to our guest, Mr. Ken Charles. Ken, good morning.
Good morning to you, Bhoe.
It's so wonderful to see you, and you are such a calm and soothing and humble personality. It is a joy that you would take the opportunity to speak with me this morning, because I know that you don't like publicity, you don't like to be a public figure, you don't want to be involved in public commentary. And I want to say how grateful I am that you consented to be my guest this morning.
My pleasure.
I want to go down three paths in my conversation with you, if it's okay with you.
Sure.
I want to talk to you as a businessman, an entrepreneur, facing the challenge of competitiveness and innovation with your business now. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about sports, and more particularly boating and the great race, and the fact that you have been such a brilliant success at that. And I also want to talk about your life, in which you have had many personal tragedies, high-cost tragedies, in which you have shown superhuman courage in the face of adversity. And I want to ask you if it's okay to go down those three tracks with you.
Yes.
That okay? That's all right?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. So, first of all, let's talk about business. What is happening to your business now, given that we've just gone through, God knows, a year and a half of COVID, many lockdowns, shutdowns, etc.? What is happening to your business? And you can say what your business is and what you do. Yeah.
Well, we are manufacturers of solar beverages, Amplia. For the last 4 months, we have been going through trying times. Our sales have been down about 60%. We are still trying to keep and give our employees employment. Our next problem is right now is that there is a shortage of sugar. So we only have products that carry us for another week, and then we are shut down until the middle of August. But coming back to the shutdowns that we have been experiencing, it has been a tough time both for us, employees, and for people on the whole.
Yeah, so why is there a shortage of sugar, do you know?
I think it's because of shipping.
Yeah,
shipping is the problem.
Yeah, it's a worldwide problem. I mentioned that in my article today in the Guardian. The logistical issues since COVID have really been fierce. And so that's a real problem for us. And so you've been carrying your employees all of this time?
Well, we have put them on short weeks sometimes, and those
Yes.
who had vacation, we have asked them to go on vacation. But we have been carrying most of them.
Okay. What has happened in this country is an amazing thing, and I don't think we should bypass it. The business community here has been very generous, and they have been very compassionate with their employees by and large. And it is not something that we should ignore as part of the culture and ethos of the place. We have many bad things in Trinidad and Tobago and many wrong things, but I think we need to acknowledge that. Tell me about your business. Your business, Solo Beverages, is really a family business. How old is it now?
We are now my dad started this in 41, 42.
Yes.
So we have been around for quite a while.
And the family has carried that business. And what have been some of the critical development opportunities that you have created over that time, besides simply manufacturing and distributing in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, we do have an export market. We have niche markets in Miami, New York, Toronto, Holland, and very small into France.
Yes. Okay, so those export markets are very, very important to you. Are you in our situation now trying to see how you can export more?
Of course, we're always trying to get out into the market, especially now with the shortage of foreign exchange.
Yes.
So it is our advantage to try and get more export markets,
Okay.
which we have been trying to do all along. As you would recall, years ago, we were just in bottles, and I took the initiative and went into cans. This enabled us to export quite a bit.
Yes.
Because of the packaging. And then from cans, we went into one-way bottles and now into PET plastic bottles, which helps us in the export.
Yeah. I imagine that with the COVID and its impact and the disruption of your business, you are very uncompetitive now. But what would, if you could stabilize, if we opened up the economy and you were able to stabilize your business and focus on this business of expanding exports, what would be essential for you to be much more competitive in your business, which is manufacturing?
Well, in export, what is happening now also is freight rates are going up.
Yeah,
Freight rates are going up, and there's scarcity of getting the empty containers. So these are the problems which we are faced with. High freight rates.
Yes.
So this is a problem that all exporters are facing at this time.
Okay. Is the manufacturing sector collaborating on this? Are they trying to address this situation? Is anything there in your control, or are you totally dependent on external forces?
This is out of our control. We have no say in shipping.
Yes. Okay.
We have to pay whatever the freight rates are.
Yeah. And what has happened to your cost to the customer in Trinidad and Tobago? Have you raised at all? You haven't raised.
We have not raised our prices as yet, but everything is going up. Packaging, the local glass bottles, the cardboard trays, the plastic that we use to shrink the package, ingredients.
Yeah.
So we are faced with this dilemma now. It's a worldwide.
It's a worldwide problem because we see this happening. The cost and the prices of things in the United States as well increasing, and people are bawling really. To see
and all of this is because of COVID.
Yes,
a lot of people have had to cut back their production, and this is the cause of it.
How do you see? I mean, we place a lot of emphasis now on innovation. We say businesses have to be innovative in order to continue to compete well and do well and expand their businesses and even to sustain themselves. How is your business configured for innovation? Where are you going with that?
Well, we have the latest technology.
Yeah.
And I cannot see us going any further at this time.
Yes. So technology...
Because, it's the same packaging that we have to use, and I don't see that changing in the near future.
Okay. So the only innovations would be in the creation of new products, if you can do them, catering to new tastes, but using the same technology, systems, etc., which you have made as competitive as possible?
And that is quite true.
Okay.
We have just launched 2 new products, natural soursop and guava.
Yes.
So we are always on the lookout for new products to come into our line.
All right, very well. So product creation is an important part of your development. So let us shift a little bit and go to sports now. Now, I mean, I think you will agree with me that your business as a family business for all these years since 1941, 42, it has grown, it has developed, it has expanded, and you are a successful businessman. And you are well respected in the business community by your peers, by your colleagues. You are seen as a simple person, as a humble person, in spite of what you've been able to achieve as a business person. What got you into sports? Because I think you got involved in the Great Race about 1970, no?
Yes, the Great Race started in 69. I was not there for the first one, and got involved in the second race in 1970. And in that race, for the first time, I won it for the first time, the second year of the running. And then we had, ever since.
Yes.
But I first started in 1962, or should I go back into when I first started?
Yeah,
We were boys about 16, 17 years, and 2 of my other friends bought a small pirogue, a 13-foot pirogue, with a 5-horsepower Seagull engine. And to put that in, when we bought it, it must have been third hand from a fisherman. But he was so kind, he gave us 3 calabash. We didn't understand what was that for. But as we put the boat in the water, it was leaking, so we had to be bailing it all the time. But to use the boat, we had to keep pulling that engine until we got it started. So my day started off in a pirogue, and we worked ourselves up. In 1962, I got a 17-foot boat with a 100-horsepower engine, and that first weekend was a regatta at the yacht club, and I was invited to participate. I did so and won 2 of the races, and that's how I started racing.
Yeah.
But as I said, the Great Race was well organized, and that got involved in that, and won it first time in 1970. Up until now, I've been participating and looking forward to running in this race on the 21st of August.
This year?
Yeah.
Well, let me wish you good luck in advance. And it really is wonderful to see what... Were you interested? You said you got involved with this fishing boat, and the fisherman sold you the boat, but he also gave you the calabashes to bail out the water from the leaking boat. And were you interested in other sports before?
Well, we used to play the normal cricket, football and such.
Yes.
And I did play a bit of badminton. Yes. Later on. And represented Trinidad for about 2 years in badminton.
Yes. So you actually represented Trinidad and Tobago in badminton as well. So sports is important to you then?
Oh yes, I always enjoyed playing sports, and the camaraderie between friends and so competitors. So it has always been part of it.
Give me your perspective.
Our company was also involved in sponsoring cycling team, Solo Stars, table tennis, and of course badminton, which we have been involved over the years.
You think sports is important for a society, and if so, how so? What is your perspective on this?
of course, it's an important part of society. It brings people together, regardless of race, religion. So it's an important facet of our life and the whole world, if I may say.
Yeah, it's a unifying experience, isn't it?
It is very much so.
A bonding experience for people. And even if you are a spectator, you get a certain thrill, you get a certain sense of inclusion when you see the race or the game or whatever it is going on, and you are connected with that in some way.
Of course, because people love sport, whichever sport it may be, badminton, cycling, running, and you support your choice, and it brings people together.
Yes. Now, how many times you've won the Great Race? How many times? Close to 20?
18 times.
18 times. So you're going for your 19th win this time.
Hopefully.
I really want to wish you the best on this 19th possibility for you in August. And I hope that you will get to the point where you can win your 20th race as well. You've done a lot for the Great Race. You've brought, besides your own value as a sportsman, as the driver of your boat, with your support people, you've also brought a lot of pizzazz to the Great Race, and you've also brought a lot of humility to the Great Race while being extremely competitive and capable. And I want to commend you on that. And very few people would have known that you've won 18 races and that you've been in this thing since you were 16. And that, in fact, that you won the second Great Race that was ever had here in 1970, and that you've won 17 after that. I mean, it really is a great achievement. And we, as an institution, the Great Race has really become a kind of institution in Trinidad and Tobago every independence, hasn't it?
Not only in Trinidad and Tobago, we have gained worldwide, we have been accepted worldwide as the longest running ocean race.
Yes.
We were supposed to have had 3 of the top competitors from the United States with us this year, but because of curfew and the limitations put on it and the late approval which we received from the government, they were not able to come in this year. Yeah. However, because of our race and being known internationally now, it is my understanding that P1, which is the #1 racing in the world, are looking at the possibilities of coming to put up a race in Trinidad sometime next year. P1 is somewhat like Formula 1 in car racing, where they race all over the world.
Yeah.
So we are looking to see whether we can pull this off sometime next year.
Well,
we have the president who is looking forward to coming to view the Great Race.
All right. Okay. So he will be here in August.
We are hoping that he would still be here.
Yeah. Well, I have no doubt that if you have anything to it, that you will push as hard as possible to make that possible. And that would be a great thing for Trinidad and Tobago. We have all this ocean around us, and boating is an important sport if you want to take command of the ocean. And the Great Race has really, really done us wonders in putting us on the world map in terms of boating and the Great Race. You have also made the Guinness Book of Records, haven't you?
Yes, the oldest powerboat racer.
And you, well, it's no secret, but you are 74 years old. You certainly don't look it. I mean,
77,
is aging...
77 on the first 77 on the 1st of August.
You are going to be 77 years old? I cannot believe
On
it.
the 1st of August.
You look much, much younger, I can tell you that. At least 15 years younger, I'm not joking. And it just says that if you look after yourself and you have the right spirit and you keep your mind alert, I mean, you can really do anything for as long as possible as God will let you. Because I know you are also a religious man too. So you don't think of age, do you? I mean, that is not a limitation for you.
Not really. As long as I'm physically fit, I can do it, I will do it.
You will do it. Okay. Do you have any advice on that for people?
Well, as you said, take care of yourself, keep a clean mind, and listen to the good Lord above, and do the best you can do.
Tell me something as you talked about that. You're a man of faith, right? I mean, you are Catholic by religion, and I know you are a man who believes in God. And how important has religion and faith been to you?
Well, I have grown up practicing my faith, and I believe there is a supreme being, and I try to live my life accordingly.
Yes. And you are guided by those principles which you consider important.
Of course.
And that carries you in your business and in your life.
Being honest with yourself and good to people.
Yes. I will take you now into a more personal area, and that is what I referred to as having the superhuman courage to deal with personal tragedies. And Ken, you have been in a situation where you were in a race and you were boating, and you saw two of your sons as your boat got into a terrible accident in which that boat was basically shattered. You saw them die before you. How did you cope with that?
That was the most difficult part in my life. And I guess if I did not have faith, I would not be here today. So the guiding spirit carried me on. As I said, with the footstep, he only saw one pair of footsteps when he lifted us up and carried us. So that carried me on and made me move on. It's a difficult thing to fathom, the loss of two of your siblings.
Yeah.
But as I said, faith took me up and carried me through.
Yes. And that must have been a terrible time for your family too. I mean, your whole family, I could imagine the loss. And how did your family deal with that?
Well, we got together and we lived off each other's strength. So we were a close-knit family. And as I said, with faith is what brought all of us through it.
All right. What would you have to say about not just faith, which I know you have, and what would you say about this issue of courage for a human being? And secondly, the courage in the face of tragedy or adversity to be able to continue and sustain yourself, your family, and do the other things that living requires of you once you are here. Talk to me about courage a little bit.
I think it was because of my sons. They were so involved that we were having difficulties, and let's look at the race in Antigua. We were having difficulties in putting the boat together. And at one stage, I gave up. But Sheldon came to me and said, Daddy, we have to race there. That's one of our good export markets. And I said to him, well, Sheldon, if you can get the boat ready, we would race. Well, that boy did everything that he could have and got that boat ready, mechanically wise. And that's how we managed to go to Antigua.
Yes.
However, the boat had a flaw, it was not properly built. And we did not realize that. It was only when we went up there and we were running in the rough. We came off our way, went into the air. When we came back down, the whole boat shattered. And that was a difficult time.
Yes, I know.
So, and then I said the family got together and said, you know, those boys would have wanted us to continue. So we took the decision and came back into it because of them.
Yes. And, well, I won't ask you any more about that. I imagine it's too painful. And, but I just wanted to focus on the courage part and the fact that in the midst of this terrible human tragedy and this personal loss of your sons Sheldon and Curtis, and I want to say a prayer with you now for just a second for the peace of their souls. You have shown superhuman courage. As a businessman, you've continued with the boating. Some people would have said, to hell with it, I've lost 2 sons, I can't take this thing anymore. Let somebody else do it. But you have persisted, you have gone. As I said, it's superhuman courage in my view. What gives you that? What and why? Why do you do it?
That's a difficult question to answer. I guess, as they say, it is in your blood. And the boys loved it so much that I continue it in their name to keep them there with us all the time. So I always say that whenever we go in the boat, the 2 of them are there with us.
Are there with you. So their spirit is with you. It's a way of keeping them alive, and it's keeping the love of it in your family alive with their spirit every time you go into a boat race or every time you sit in a boat to race.
That is so true. You actually feel their presence with us.
Okay. That is wonderful. I want to read something that somebody said about you. Okay? His name is Clifford Narayan Singh. And this is what he said. Modesty, simplicity, humility in spite of his incredible achievements. And he basically was making the point that that is Ken Charles. How do you respond to what Clifford Narayan Singh said?
I never thought of it really, but as he quite correctly said, I try to keep to myself. I do what I have to do without much fanfare, and whatever I do, whatever charity I do, it is what I give from within, and not for people to know.
Yes, I know. You are quiet, very, very private man in that regard. I know that. I just want to say that that was my way of introducing the fact that Clifford Narayan Singh, who has written many books on sports heroes, sports personalities of real significance. He's written a book on Gavaskar, the Indian cricketer who had a really very nice attitude to Trinidad and Tobago and Trinidadians generally, and made many friends here. He's written a book on other sportsmen. I wouldn't name all of them now. So I want to say that he took the time and he worked with you to write this book, and the name of the book is Mr. Solo, the legendary Ken Charles. Are you satisfied with the book?
Yes, I think Clifford did an excellent job in producing it. He first said he wanted to do a story on boating, but he encompassed the other aspects of my life, and I think he did an excellent job of it.
Yes. I try to get my hands on the book. The bookstores aren't open, so I wasn't able to get it, but I promise you I'm going to read it, and I'm going to call you off air, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. But the Clifford, I mean, given the other books that I've read that he's written on sports personalities, he really has an insight, and he has a humanity and a humaneness in trying to bring out what is the essence of people that makes them tick. And I think I am absolutely sure that he succeeded in doing that with you. Do you feel that he did?
I think he did an excellent job.
Yes.
As you said, he has written about other sportsmen. He sat down with me and he interviewed other people and came up with an excellent book.
Yes. So I advise all those people who can get their hands on it because this is an inspiration, I think, to read the story of Ken Charles. And Ken, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know that you don't do these interviews easily. I want to thank you for coming on my show, Brighter Morning with Bhoe. I hope you will look at it in your own time. I will send a video to you if I can get it today. But I want to thank you tremendously for coming on the program and for having this interview. I have no doubt that this particular interview that we did will be an inspiration to anybody who saw this interview. Thank you very much for coming.
It is my pleasure, and thank you for having me on.
All right. Okay, then. You have a great day today.
You too. Bye.
We were talking to Ken Charles, who is the owner and driver, chairman of Solo Beverages in Trinidad and Tobago. He has other businesses throughout the Caribbean. We didn't talk about that. We just focused on Solo. I think everybody in Trinidad knows the importance of a red Solo and a roti in the culture of Trinidad and Tobago, especially in sports time and in fete matches, etc. So I thank you for listening and watching. This has been Brighter Morning with Bhoe. My name is Bhoe Tiwari. Let's be together tomorrow. You watch me and we will talk, and you can call. And thank you for watching. And we now go to Andrew Chan for the 8 o'clock news.